Good evening, folks. Welcome back to Ash Allen Talks. Today's episode is for every woman entrepreneur who has ever invested in courses, the masterminds, the business coaches, and still felt like something was missing. My guest, Kristen Franey, is known as the anti business coach. She works with women who've already done the inner work, already tried the framework and systems, and are tired of being told to squeeze themselves into strategies that don't fit. Christine takes a trauma informed approach, coaching the person behind the business, not just the business itself. She helps women expand beyond their current success, steps into deeper impact, and finally create results that feel aligned with who they truly are.
Fabulous. Thanks so much, Ash. So as I mentioned a little bit before we got started, I used to live in Dubai. So I am a corporate escapee, and I worked in business development, retail development for a very long time in my previous life. And I now help women after I've been on my spiritual growth journey, or started my spiritual growth journey. I don't think once we start it, we ever finish. I now help women who want to make an impact, who either have a spiritual business or an impact-driven business, get beyond all of the surface level strategies that exist out there, to find the strategy that is going to work best for them, and then overcome the blocks that they keep running up against that are making it difficult to implement their best strategy. So, there's so much business coaching in the world at the minute. And so much of it is, follow my 5-step process and I guarantee you'll be a millionaire next week. And we get sold into those and it feels like, okay, this is the one, this is going to make the difference. And we still find that we haven't quite achieved that level of success that we want, or they're feeling like they can achieve that level of success and they can do it, but they're having to do things that really go against their values and what really feels good for them in order to follow that strategy. And so my ethos is very much that any strategy will work or no strategy will work, and it's dependent on the person and how they are approaching it. And my goal is to have everyone who has a business that wants to make an impact, make the most impact that they possibly can. And that means generating the most revenue that they possibly can.
It's great. And Christine, you call yourself the anti-business coach. Can you share what that means and how you came to climb that title?
Yeah, well, I claim it because in this space that I operate in, there are so many business coaches that are essentially saying, okay, I cracked the code. I know exactly what it takes. I struggled for X number of years, and then I finally found the secret. And I will tell you that secret, and I will help you find the same level of success that I have. And ultimately, what the majority of them are selling is a particular framework, whatever their framework is. And that's great that it worked for them, right? So somebody can get to 6-figure success on Facebook and monetizing groups and being really successful on groups. Somebody else might do it through podcasts. Somebody else might do it because they're great at Instagram. Somebody else might do it with local and in-person events. Somebody might do it from having lots of low ticket offers. Somebody else might do it from having a couple of really high ticket offers. There's a million different strategies, a million different 7-step systems and processes. And most of the coaches that are out there are selling the one that happened to work for them. And it fits with their personality, it fits with who they are, it fits with their background and the platform that they already have and what feels comfortable and where they thrive. And it doesn't mean that it's going to fit for you. Your business strategy is probably very different to my business strategy. We've got different backgrounds, we've got different platforms, we're starting off with a different audience. And so the one that works for each person is very individualized. And often what starts to happen is, people kind of flip from, well, I have to build my social media, I have to be on Facebook. Oh no, this person's telling me I have to learn how to write for Substack. And it can get to be really overwhelming, and people start to feel that they're wrong. Or the flip side happens where they find the strategy, they're able to implement it, and then they find out that they're actually working 60 hours a week, which is not why they started their own business. they're having to do things that, like I said, go against what they maybe align with in terms of their values. They don't like cold calling, for example, or sending cold DMs and cold messages. So they've got the level of success, but it just doesn't feel like it represents who they are. And I help them claim what does feel really good for them and be able to move through the limiting beliefs, the parts of themselves that are telling them that they can't do what they want to do, and really build a business that reflects who they are, the impact that they want to make. So I don't come with a 7-step process. I have a methodology that I take people through, but it is through coaching them as a person and uncovering what is their big vision, what do they really want, what does their ideal day look like, how do they need to show up in order to do that. And then from there, we craft what their best revenue generating activities are going to be, so that they're getting a chance to love their life and live their life as they're growing their business.
Wow. And Christine, when you talk about the coaching, I have heard a lot about the coaching, and I think a lot of our listeners have been into. And one question strike on my mind, that was there a personal turning point when you realized traditional coaching wasn't working either for you or your clients?
There were 2 moments where I realized it wasn't working for me. With the business coaching, I was working on my marketing and my messaging, and I get business. I was in business for 25 years. I know what's going to work and what's not. But I didn't feel like I got marketing, right? Like the words and how to sell and having to, it felt like it was a little bit salesy and spammy and gross, and I didn't like it. And so I was working with a heart-centered business coach on my marketing and my messaging. And she said to me, I don't understand why you can't get this. All of my other clients can. And I thought, okay, well, that's not really coaching me. That's making me feel wrong for something that you can't help me get to the bottom of, right? Like clearly there is something that I need help with, which is why I have come to you. And now you're just making me feel wrong. So she's kind of gaslighting me through it. So at that point, I realized that there's probably not someone else who's going to be able to help me figure it out. And I had to peel away what were the layers? What was my resistance? Why was I feeling so bad about it? Why did I not like the selling? What was the thing that was behind the thing? And it wasn't so much that I didn't like marketing and I didn't like it. It's that I didn't love the offers and what I was selling. And I felt like I was having to try to convince people to work with me, because I wasn't in love with what I was trying to sell. And so when I shifted all of that, I was able to entirely change my business. And then from there, I realized that a lot of the work that I needed to do wasn't so much on learning the business and the steps and the strategies. It was on getting to a new level of my personal development and my personal growth. And I signed up for a mastermind with a very famous coach, and I watched his process, and I came to a few really big breakthroughs in that mastermind. And it also struck me that he was getting people to a certain level of breakthrough and then leaving them on their own. And so that was recreating for a lot of folks, and has the potential to recreate for a lot of folks, another level of trauma. In that, okay, so now we've ripped open the wound, we understand what the limiting belief is, we understand what that pattern is that we've been carrying with us since we were kids, that is determining how we're showing up, and probably not the way we want to show up, and determining that we maybe don't feel the way that we want to feel about ourselves. We feel like we're not worthy, or we can't charge what we want to charge. But there wasn't anything in that helped to figure out then how to go about life now that you've had that realization. And having the realization is one thing, right? But living life in a new way, sometimes we kind of need the training wheels and we need some help. And so there were those 2 really big moments that helped me to see that, one, a lot of the coaching industry is just recreating the same traumatic experiences and recreating the limiting beliefs that we're carrying with us, and not helping us to figure out the ways of embodying that new person that we want to be once we've had the aha breakthrough moment. And so through that, I really shifted my work quite a bit. And I came to realize through those that my work doesn't lie in selling PDFs or, here's how to create your marketing plan for the month. It's in doing the depth work and kind of standing side by side with somebody as they're going through the fire. I'm kind of hand holding them. I'm not a cheerleader, but I'm there to guide and to help them as they are shedding those layers, and figure out what their next best step is going to be.
Wow. When I hearing from you, Christine, we talk a lot about the coaching industry before, and you often talk about women being oversold and undersupported. And what do you see happening in the coaching and online business world that keeps so many entrepreneurs stuck? Because especially by AI, and we see a lot of bots, and still people need a human touch. And how you look into this concept, and right now how the women being oversold and undersupported, as you mentioned.
Yeah, well, I think it goes back to, a little bit of what my personal experience was that I just shared, but it's also that I feel very much, and what we see is that when programs and packages especially are sold to women in the coaching space, and it's not just to women, it's to everyone, but that's the space that I operate in a little bit more. It is essentially, it's a process, it's a strategy. It is create an offer, identify your best clients, find the marketing message, go out and talk to the people. That's packaged in so many different ways. I mean, that's how you're going to make money. You can talk to any bazillionaire entrepreneur, and that's what you do. Figure out what you're going to sell, figure out the best marketing message, go out, talk to the people. Now, how you do those things is entirely dependent on you as a person, your business, your customer, who they are, where they are. And what I see happening so often is we're just recreating very similar patterns, and we're recreating new fluffy language to sell the same thing and calling it the new feminine business strategy, or sell from your feminine. And ultimately it's the same exact thing. It's finding ways to create false scarcity, right? Whereas people don't necessarily want that. That's where the human touch gets left out. And people notice and they feel when they're trying to be sold to, or they're trying to be convinced of something. And so a lot of those tactics and strategies come from sort of, the bro marketing universe, and it's old school. It doesn't work for heart-centered people, whether they're men or women. And it certainly doesn't work oftentimes for women because it's replicating a masculine way of being. And for a long time, I worked in corporate, and I was like, oh, this feminine stuff is malarkey. But men and women operate differently. And when we as women try to simply go out and be in the world as men exist in the world and are successful in the world, it doesn't always work for us. And when we continue to buy into these programs that look great and shiny, but often, a lot of the messaging, like the boss babe messaging, is the same stuff. It's just labeled and branded differently. And so I think that, for me, I railed against that for a really long time in my life. I was like, oh no, we don't need to either have separate spaces, or, we are all exactly the same. Let's just carry on and crack on. And I think that the industry very much gaslights us into believing that there is something wrong with the individual when they can't get the guru's system, as opposed to so many of the gurus being like, well, my system might not work for you. My system's worked great for me. It might not be the best system for you, but there's somebody else out there that can find the best system for you.
Yeah. And Christine, when you talk more about the coaching stuff and the marketing, so some points strike into my mind that in most of the companies, especially in UAE and Dubai and Abu Dhabi areas, so marketing expenses are very high when we compare the budget with the another outsider company and the marketing stuff here. That I can mention 40 to 45% of the cost is coming from marketing, then and others going for human resource management stuff. So marketing expenses are a significant portion of the company, and But the sad part is that a lot of companies are not achieving their sales as per the cost of the marketing. So in down the line somewhere it went error, or some kind of false information, or some kind of wrong channel they have marketing on. But how are you seeing the marketing expenses and align with the sales, and how it should be, and what is the proportionate rate it should be?
Yeah, that's a great question. And to be very fair and frank, most of the folks that I work with are more of a solopreneur as opposed to a company that is, having a very big marketing budget. A lot of my people find that their best return on investment is not coming from spending a lot on marketing, that there can be a lot of organic growth, and their best return on investment is when they share their message, they spend the time to create the content. And when they are scaling and when they're getting past the six-figure business mark, then they can take a look at what are all of their necessary expenses. And so I don't have necessarily a formula that I apply. It is very individualized, and I would look at it with the business owner and say, okay, so what's your revenue? What are your non-essential costs, right? Like your non-essential costs, if you have a team, it's your staff costs. Non-essential costs would be the cost of your location. Is there anything in that we can pare back and where we can save so that you can invest? What is the profit that you expect to make or need to make? And then of that, what realistically can be rolled into your marketing plan? And I would also review and revise what the marketing plan is. Like you said, maybe they're not on the best platform, or they're spending money to go on to a platform, but they're not getting a return on investment from that particular avenue. And if they're not getting a return on that, then probably time to pause it, reassess, and go into the places where they are getting a stronger return on investment. So one of the things that stuck with me very much from my retail days is we spend our time and our energy on what is working. And if we can get a 10% increase on what's already working well, versus trying to turn around something where we're not generating any revenue, our energy is better placed on what's already working. So I would have that business owner go back and look at, okay, so where am I getting return on investment? And if I have, if I'm spending money on two different channels or platforms, I would probably stop one if there's no return on it and shift that investment, whether it's time investment or monetary investment, into the platform that is working, grow there and get a little bit more traction. And then once there's more traction, then decide and figure out, and while that's happening, figure out what was the bottleneck, what was the breakdown in the other platform. Is it that it's not the best platform for the business? Is it that there was a problem with the message that was there? Is it something else, right? Figuring out what the problem is rather than just continuing to do the same thing over and over and expect some different results.
Wow, Kristen, that was a great answer. And I was trying to look more depth into the corporate culture, but one thing is there, that trauma-informed approach. So you describe your work as a trauma-informed. For listeners who aren't familiar, what does that actually mean in practice?
So in practice, what that means is I very much recognize and appreciate that not everyone comes from the same background. Not everyone has the exact same lived experience. And by trying to treat everyone as if they do have the same lived experience, we're then potentially dismissing the value and the worth and the capability that somebody can bring forward. And also to recognize that through that, somebody might have had a very traumatic experience, let's say from public speaking. And so I'm not then going to say, okay, well, you have to go out there and be a public speaker. Let's just get better at it. Let's start at ground zero and start working on your pitch so that you can go out there in front of a big group of people. Because that's just going to re-traumatize them, right? And I'm not necessarily going to make them relive that whole experience for me. And so what we do is find ways that they feel safe to be their biggest self in their situation and their environment, whatever that looks like for them. But for me, mostly it is recognizing that not everyone has the exact same lived experience, and seeing them fully as a person in whatever that experience is that they're bringing to the table.
Wow. And Christine, can you share a client story where letting go of the system and leaning into their true self, creating unexpected results?
Absolutely. So it's actually one of my very first clients, but she has such a powerful story. And she came to me because she was running a small business and she had founded the business and it was getting to a good, decent level of growth. There was a decent amount of traction. She was having to bring some additional people into the team. She already had a small team. And she was looking to promote the people on her team to a higher level so that they could then delegate and bring new people into their department. And she was finding it very difficult to kind of let go of the control. She felt very much that whenever she did, they didn't live up to their expectations. They let her down. They didn't make sound business decisions. So she felt like there was something that was wrong with how she was delegating, how she was deciding who to promote, what was going on with her leadership. And so we broke things down and I took a very non-businessy approach and we started looking at her. What was coming up for her? What did she want? One of the favorite activities that I do with my clients is we go through a sort of a future favorite self visioning process. So who did she want to be? What did her future look like? What was really important to her? We spent some time getting to grips with what her personal values were versus the values that she founded her company on. And as we went through that process, she realized that there was nothing wrong with her delegation. Her team was perfectly capable and she was creating challenges and problems because she didn't even want the business. So when she thought of what success looked like to her, she realized that success didn't look like growing this business. Success looked like selling it and starting something entirely new that much more aligned with what her future looked like. That if she carried on with this business, she wasn't going to be able to make the impact that she wanted. So ultimately, she listed her business for $3 million, decided that she was going to take some time off. She poured a lot of resources into working with some charities and foundations that were really dear to her. And then she recreated a business entirely from scratch with that money that she had made that now fuels so much more of her dream lifestyle and is what she wants to do. And she's getting to make so much more impact because her business is intertwined with the charities and the foundations that were really important to her.
Wow. And Christine, that was very interesting and motivative. And coffee or tea?
Oh, coffee.
Are you a morning person or a night owl?
Oh, I'm a morning person.
The best book every woman entrepreneur should read?
That is a great one. Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself by Joe Dispenza.
Wow. One word that describes the coaching industry right now?
I was about to swear.
Okay, I will make it easy for you. 3 words.
Choose improvement.
Okay. One word that describes your approach?
Bespoke.
The worst business advice you ever heard?
What's the word that I'm looking for? I want to say it's like rise and grind, like grind culture, hustle more, hustle.
And your go-to mantra when things feel hard?
Oh, why not me?
What's success not about?
Success is not about success at all costs, not about trampling over other people to get to success.
What's one thing women should stop apologizing for?
Being whoever the F they want to be.
If you weren't coaching, what would you be doing?
Oh God. The first thing that came to mind was swimming with dolphins, but I don't know if that's very realistic. Surf instructor, I've never been surfing. I don't know.
Awesome. A business rule you love breaking?
Oh, kind of all all of them. The business rule I love breaking is that you have to be in any one place. You have to be on social media, or you have to do any one thing.
Wow. What's the boldest move you ever made in business?
Oh, the boldest move was starting my own business.
Yeah.
It's stepping away from corporate after 25 years and, an easy...
That actually, Christine, that's the hardest part for a lot of people. Stepping into from what we call 9 to 5 to entrepreneurship. So the stepstone. A lot of people are trying and wasting their lifetime and end up in 50s and 60s with their pension scheme and finally 401k pension stuff and end up in stuff. It's very hard, and a lot of entrepreneurs and startup people are getting involved with the AI and the stuff right now. But still a lot of people are trying to find the gateway to jump from this 9 to 5 clock down. So still it's very hard for a lot of people, and a lot of people are still coaching and trying to get into. But I don't know, there are a lot of workforce still they want to be a part of a corporate culture, like Saturday, Sunday off and 9 to 5 and work culture. I don't know, but still things are getting better. But now especially the countries and the governments feel that entrepreneurship and the startups, these are very important and the crucial for macroeconomical factors and the GDP when it's come to income level and unemployment rate and inflation especially. These are very important. When the new products are coming into the market, the life getting better for everyone. So now people realized, okay, not 9 to 5, innovation should be there and startups should be there. So yeah, people are approaching that. It's a good news with the AI. And yeah. And impact or income, which comes first?
Oh, a tough question to answer, Ash. A lot of my folks they start their business because they want to make an impact. And it's not necessarily about generating income, but if they don't generate income, they're not going to be able to keep doing their business to make the impact they want to make. So they go hand in hand. I think that at least for my clients and the people who are drawn to work with me, and they're not in this business just to make income, but they have to have revenue in order to make the impact that they want to make.
Yeah. And Christine, when it's come to coaching industry and your clients, and if your clients could describe you in one word, what would it be?
Compassionate.
Wow. And Christine, we have discussed a lot about coaching and women entrepreneurship and the success of a business and startups. And we have gone through more into marketing strategies and the stuff, and a lot of streams where they are spending money and not getting returns, especially. And a lot of things we have discussed, and it was a fruitful session. And we are near to exit, and we have doing this for more than 30 minutes right now. And for all the listeners, we are in Echelon Talks episode 67. And Christine, where the audience can find you and how they can reach you?
Yeah, best way to find me right now is on Instagram. It's Kristen.Franey. Website is currently under design, so I will always be over there on Instagram, and you can get to all of my links over there also.
Awesome. And I'll put all the links of Christine in the description below. And thank you very much for your valuable time and the sharing of your knowledge and the experience with us.
This has been great. Thank you so much, Ash. You're really fun to talk to.